Mind Muscle Hustle podcast with the Strength Emporium. Strength from the feet up, balance boards, rocker boards, plate loaders, mini sleds. Mind Muscle Hustle. New year 2022 is behind almost. And I'm sorry, 2021 is behind us almost. We're about to be at 2022 and looking forward to the new year. Here with just Genghis John himself. Caleb is out for the evening. Jonathan, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Doing well, man. Spent the day wrenching on a car, and it's been tiring. I think it's actually more mentally tiring.
Working on the Camaro?
No, I was just I did a transmission shift kit in the Camry.
Oh yeah.
And I think I got too much transmission fluid in there. But they make the transmission specifically so you can't check the fluid without like having to. They don't just have a normal dipstick. Yeah. And so I had to like get under the car, jack it up, make sure everything's even, and like run it and drain fluid out of it and add it. It was super complex. I don't even think I did it right. I'm probably going to have to end up paying someone to do it. But
man, so I had like a fairly new Tahoe a few years back, and I hated that thing because I couldn't work on it at all.
Dude, they make them, they're designed so you have to take them to a professional.
Yeah. But like when I have like a 2003 work truck, I mean, it's so simple. You can do anything. No sensors are going off.
Right,
It's like I want to keep it old school. I'm tired of this new stuff.
The more that I get in these projects, I feel the exact same way. I'm like, dude, give me an 80s box Chevy and let's just run it with a 350, and I don't really care about the rest. I'll do all the work myself. I mean, you want to talk about simple.
And I kind of want to learn how to like do these electric cars though.
That's true.
I want like an 80s Chevy
electric
with 4 electric motors on each wheel. I mean, 1 electric motor on each wheel.
That sounds like a good time right there. I mean, that Tesla is supposed to be wicked fast, sport model or whatnot.
I'm wondering if they can like figure out how to like do a gas charging electric car. Like I want to charge my car with gas, but it run off an electric motor.
Dude, you know what I've never thought, or what I can't believe that the motor companies aren't thinking of is like, so you have all this rotation from the tires. Why are we harnessing that energy and like using it to charge something? Just the sheer fact of the tires turning.
Doesn't Tesla do that? Maybe it's with the braking.
I think they do have braking systems like that, but you would think that would be more energy that you could harness from that.
Yeah, it might not be like maybe so minimal with just the rotation by itself.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you could just the technology of like how fast the Tesla is, how instant the power is, that's what I think is awesome. And then I wonder though if you're like return on investment, if you're just charging the car with your gas, would be almost more. I mean, clearly someone smarter than me thought of this.
For sure.
I'd like to know what the actual information is.
I'd like to hear someone really smart tell me the information so I could repeat it and sound really smart.
Yeah. Did we tell everyone why Caleb's not here?
Yes, we said he's been...
He's keeping us safe. He's been exposed
to the COVID.
So he's keeping us safe.
And he's keeping himself and everyone else safe. And I appreciate that.
The tests are negative, though, so he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Plus
he'll be
he's
fine.
Fully vaxxed and what do you say, waxed?
He's fully vaxxed and waxed, evidently, which was too much information, really. I was like,
I didn't need that.
Caleb, just chill at home, bud. We'll see you next week.
He's got some soup that he's been making that he was supposed to bring me tonight, so I'm a little upset we didn't get none of that.
Man, that soup looked really good. He posted on Instagram.
Well, it was turkey and dumplings.
Oh yeah, because he made the turkey.
Yep.
And then turned it into a soup with dumplings.
Yeah. He's an incredible cook.
Yeah, he made salmon for Thomas and Shelby, my coach, and his wife when they had their baby. And they said it was like the best salmon they've ever had.
I mean, all the years we've hung out, he'll just get up and start cooking stuff. And there's no training to this. And I don't even think he watches like Gordon Ramsay or anyone. I don't think he pays attention to anything.
He just does his thing?
Yeah, whatever he wants. And it's like kind of part of his art. He paints.
Oh, yeah, he is an artist, man.
Cooks the same way. It's just him just doing whatever until it's amazing.
Wow. That's crazy. And even jiu-jitsu is the same way. You're kind of painting in a sense, you know, you learn a move, but then you figure out how you're going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, it's
how many classes did you do this week?
Let's see. I only got in 2 classes this week. It was a light week, but, my shoulder has still been on rehab mode. And, yeah, you know, with the New Year's, I got some hard rolls though, man. Yeah. Super hard rolls. I was fried after class. I'm pretty fried right now. I kind of stacked it up too hard on myself, went hard in jiu-jitsu, and then came home and was like, I got to get this transmission done. And did that, and then you were like, hey, you want to do the podcast early? I was like, yeah, sure, let's rock, man. And but now I'm feeling all right. Once you get talking, get moving, you're good.
I was working. I've been cutting metal and welding and actually trying to make jigs to make it faster for me to, you know, produce the stuff.
Yeah. Because kind of like a template.
Yeah, I've got some little jigs, but I'm really trying to get it absolutely as streamlined as I can because I've got to move faster.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get the prices down where like people can handle it and things like that. And so I've had to really like ramp up the speed of it all. Of course, I have a little help now. My wife's dad is really good at this stuff, so he's got some.
Oh yeah, I bet with all his years of welding under his belt, he's got some great pointers for you on that.
Yeah, and so he's helping me get really streamlined, so we can move a lot faster and get a lot more done. And it's I mean, like the first thing we did probably put me like 30% faster.
Really?
Yeah, we made like a fence for my saw, and it is. I mean, like I don't have to measure anything. I don't have to put a tape measure onto nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
You just chop it.
It's like I set a pin and chop. It's fast, and then you know, because I tried doing it a little bit myself because I understand the concept, but it wasn't very precise and it didn't work that well. And he's cleaned it all up, and then we've got some other jigs and stuff going, so it's gonna make it a lot better.
Man, there's nothing better than streamlining the process, and it really is just like lifting weights or anything else. It just takes the reps to figure out where, you know, you can improve.
Yeah, I mean, well, and then a lot of times for me, it's like getting someone around who knows better. I mean, that's what I tend to do. I'm kind of I like learning the hard way with a lot of things, but if I can ask anyone, I have no qualms about just saying, hey, how do I do this?
Dude, and you're really good about finding the people with the right answer.
That's because I actively look for them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait at all. I mean, if I'm thinking at all that this is hard, I'm going to ask somebody who's smarter than me.
Yeah, no doubt. You got a lot of orders stacked up?
Yeah, I got quite a few.
Dude, that's nice. A lot of people have been asking me about it. I've been plugging the workouts. I've been plugging going out to the bridge, going out to the hill, going out to the park.
Yeah, man.
And I think we're going to generate some buzz with it. I'm really excited.
We're starting. Today is New Year's Eve.
Yes, sir.
And we are starting out 2022 with our workouts at the park here in Tulsa. And so Monday at noon, and then again at 5 and 6 p.m. we will be at the park at 41st and Riverside.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
And we also have a lot of other things coming. We have an app coming, so a community we're building together. So we'll also have like the schedule, daily workouts, some motivation recipes. We got a lot of things on the books.
I was looking at that template and it looks awesome, man. You have the mind, the muscle, the hustle. You got recipes, videos, schedules. It looks pretty awesome. I can't wait to start getting some traction on that, getting some people interacting.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we can get on there and talk to each other.
Build the community.
Get off Facebook.
Yeah, man, get off Facebook, and also get some, you know, local business owners on here that want to talk to us about what they're doing and, you know, the different things that they've come across, getting their own reps in their own business.
We have several people already lined up getting ready to be on the podcast, so
good.
Got some people for you soon.
Good. Yeah, that sounds great.
Man, so how's the jits going? What's up with your shoulder?
Man, you know, I think it's the karma from taking so many other people's shoulders from them that I have lost my own shoulders.
I know you've been working on a lot with like your rehab type stuff, but what are you doing?
Man, so I basically just have been doing like kind of the knees over toes protocol on I've been taking the plate loaders I got 25.
The maces.
The maces, yeah. I've been taking them. I thought you were calling them plate loaders.
No. I've never said those words in my life.
You never said those words? Where'd I get that from?
No idea.
All right, guys. Sorry. My bad. Maces. Yes, the maces. And I've been pressing them overhead, but more so behind my head. And I've been switching sides, putting the weight on one side, putting the weight on the other side, doing like 5 reps a set. I really like those. And then I've also been doing the same movement, but holding it forward and backwards as opposed to side. And that's been helping a lot. I've been stretching on the bands. I got them hooked up to the pull-up bar, and I'm just like leaning out and posturing really heavy and getting a huge stretch all the way from my forearm, bicep, in through my shoulder. That seems to be helping a lot. But it's just a chronic injury, man. I'm wondering if it's just something that I'm going to have to deal with the rest of my life, or am I going to be able to actually rehab this,
Do you sleep on that shoulder?
Dude, so I've really noticed a lot about my sleep. I actively try to sleep on my left side now, and I will wake up having turned over to the other side, but I have this whole little system where I have a body pillow and I sleep on my left side, and then I get another pillow and I jam it under my right arm to give it so it's not so tucked in, to just give it a little space to kind of float. And that seems to actually really help a lot.
I've always thought that us sleeping on the bed, something is wrong with the way we sleep.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
The only time I've ever had any kind of pain has something to do with my sleep. And it's because sleeping on my arms and waking up, with your hands numb and stuff like that. But there's something about it. I don't know whether it's too soft, which I've tried sleeping on the floor, and
that's rough.
Garbage. I can't.
That's rough.
But one thing I have done is, have you ever been in one of those zero gravity beds?
No.
Bro.
That's where it's at?
Yeah. I'm sleeping in one right now.
Really?
And most of my pain's gone.
Are you a back sleeper?
Not normally. I usually sleep on my side.
On your side.
But but I wake up every night with my arms asleep.
Really?
Generally,
Oh wow! Fully asleep, you can't.
Well, a lot of times I think I actually wake up before they go, fully asleep. But you wake up in pain. I've been on my shoulder so long it hurts, and I'll have to roll over.
How do you get the blood back into it? I mean, do you just switch your position? Do you have to sit up, or
I just roll over?
You just roll over.
Yeah, but I've been sleeping on that zero gravity thing. Nothing, no pain, no nothing.
That's pretty impressive.
Because it kind of makes you not want to sleep on your side, because it's
really?
So comfortable on your back that you just sleep on your back.
Man, and I mean, it is true. I remember when my brother was playing football, they would make the whole team do their measurements in the morning, because everyone's a solid half-inch taller in the morning when you get a good decompression on your spine after sleeping. Yeah. And it's real, man. I mean, sleeping is everything. And it's so funny. I tell people all the time when they ask about recovery, how do I recover? I'm like, well, first of all, sleep is the cheapest form of recovery and probably the highest quality recovery that you can get. Yeah,
for sure. But so being in that zero gravity position all night long is interesting, because I noticed over the last few years I've been really working on my posture, trying to get it perfect. And that because, after I got sick in the hospital, it was my posture was so crucial.
Really?
Yeah, because that was a big deal for blood flow to my shoulder.
Oh, okay.
Because I have my collarbone space is too small, and the arteries and the nerves are being pinched on my.
Were you pronated? Everything's pronated forward?
That was some of it. Okay. The general guys who lift too much are pronated, right?
The big benchers.
I was also way too big.
Yeah, man, you were 300 pounds.
350.
350?
Yeah, and they said my traps were so big it was pinching off one of the arteries, and then my chest was so big it was pushing the other up into the collarbone.
Not surprising.
And on my right side, when I was a kid, I broke it, and they said the space is a little smaller than the left side.
Okay.
So everything's in there, plus I'm gigantic, and it's all pushing together, and it's causing the blood to stop. So figuring out the posture has been a huge deal. And of course, I've learned way more than I've ever, really intended on learning. But so what the main thing is, you're trying to get into this back chain thing where I'm loading my hamstrings and my back muscles rather than kind of sitting in my hip flexors and my quads and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're in that zero gravity position, you are your rib cage is over your hips. all it really does is kind of lift your legs up a little bit, and it drops your hips down and brings your chest up.
And that's essentially what is wrong with most of the population's posture, huh?
Yes.
We're not getting the ribs over the hips.
Yeah, we're all leaning back. We're basically lined up with our hips. We're like leaning back a little bit.
Do you think that's from just sitting in chairs all the time?
Yeah. So like if we didn't have chairs, or we would be like squatting down. When you squat down to like a kind of an Asian squat, I think is what they call it.
Yeah.
When you squat down like that, your ribs out over your hips because you're working, you're doing stuff on the ground, you're doing whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you can look at all kinds of different people who still do that today, out there, tribes and stuff. And they don't do any kind of chairs. They squat down. They might, even if you're sitting on the ground in like, the lotus position where you like cross your legs, you're still kind of leaning in that position.
Your posture is noticeably better. And I mean, mine is not anything to write home about for sure. I definitely am pronated forward. But have you been doing any lifts, or do you just specifically been focusing on just the form of keeping your ribs over your hips?
Pretty much that. I still lift kind of, but mostly what I do is just do carries. I just carry weights.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with the farmer carries in the gym.
Overhead carries, iron crosses, carries through the front, farmer, sled, mostly sled. I do more sled than anything.
Well, I think that's a good plan of attack for sure.
Yeah.
Especially when you add the foot exercises for the posterior chain. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what that's for, right?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah. I mean, I've been really feeling that, man.
Get on the balance board and doing all that stuff. I still do that. I do the reps of that, but I don't consider the balance board like lifting. I'm not like trying to lift barbells or anything like that.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's definitely not lifting, but you're getting gains from it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm mostly just focused on like trying to take care of myself, because I'm big. I'm just am big, and I just am strong, and I don't know anymore. The real crazy thing is after I got hurt is like the question was like, what am I training for?
Yeah,
and that was like a real interesting question because I remember Wes actually telling me that when we were working together, is he was like, you have to figure out why are you here?
Yeah.
And so most people will like kind of try to convince themselves that they're an athlete of some sort when they're not.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh yeah. I've been guilty of that.
And then the other side of it is you're just lifting to look good. And I think that is the smartest. The guys that are actually like making it to old age feeling good, they're just trying to look a little better. They're just lifting to pump it, get a pump, put on a little bit of muscle, stay lean. That's all they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And like for most of us, that's probably what we should be doing. But then I think a lot of us get lost in this weird, I'm going to be like a mediocre athlete thing.
Yeah, that's not really a thing. I mean, at 37, man, I just kind of got to be honest with myself and be like, hey, you're not going to make massive gains from here, but you can still look good and feel good. And for me, honestly, at first, I remember you asking me that same question when I started at the gym. You said, hey, why are you here? And I was like, that's a good question. I don't really know. And I was like, well, I mountain bike a lot, and maybe, I want to be a stronger mountain biker, and really, after all that, there's two things that I get from lifting: looking good, you feel good, and then, man, the endorphins that you get. Like, I would probably have to be on some antidepressants or something crazy if I didn't have weightlifting to help balance out my moods.
I think that's why a lot of people lift.
It's my antidepressants, man. I mean, every swing that I've gone through in my life has been moderated or neutralized through just hitting the weights. Yeah. And that's whether it's just hitting push-ups at the house in the total gym or, going to the gym and doing straight bodybuilder style workouts, going to your gym, pushing the sled, pulling the sled. I mean, there's so many different ways to get those endorphins to dump, but it's paramount, dude. I don't think I'm going to age well if I don't continue to hit the gym like that and really keep the diet in check.
Yeah, well, for me, diet's always the issue.
Me too.
The thing is, I don't actually care what I look like at all. I just don't have any real.
Yeah.
And then I want to be strong because I'm paranoid.
Yeah,
Like, I have to be able to kill you at any moment. Because, like, I bounced for a lot of years, man, and I've seen some bad stuff, and because I was in the military and things like that, and there's this, I always have this thing, like, I've been in parking lots where someone was just going to stab you for no reason.
For absolutely no reason.
And so, like, I always have this thing where, like, I have to be, capable.
Yeah.
So there's that. So that's probably the deep reason that I'm training is like that, some kind of paranoia there. But then, since I've gone through this when I was younger, it was just trying to look good.
Yeah.
I've been in the gym since I was like 14.
Yeah. And I mean, you had a 6-pack at one point in time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was just trying to look good back then. And that was great. I did it for a long time, but then I just got like, I don't care anymore. And then, so I just started cooking. Started eating.
Well, your goal was to, block out the sun.
Yeah. Then I just wanted to get so big, and it was just, I ate everything. I remember at some point I went to a guy, he hadn't seen me since back when I was into like I guess you'd call it bodybuilding, but it's not really that. It was just trying to look good. This guy owned a supplement shop here in town, and I went and saw him, and I hadn't seen him probably 5 or 6 years. And he was like, convinced that I was taking juice.
Really?
Like, man, what's your cycle?
Running?
What are you on?
Bro, what are you running?
I'm running McDonald's.
I'm running sodium, actually. Tons of sodium.
Incredibly good at cooking fettuccine Alfredo. You want the recipe? And he just would not believe me, man. And then I was like, okay. But I mean, that was the thing, and just I ate myself big.
Yeah.
And people want to act like you don't need steroids. You don't need nothing. You can eat it.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I mean, I was having fun though. I was enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, you did kind of pay some sort of consequences for that.
Absolutely, paid the price. But and that's why now that's what I'm getting to is it's
longevity.
A health thing. Yeah, now I got to think about like why am I doing this, and so I break it down. The baseline for heart health is like 30 minutes of work, 5 days a week. That's your baseline. Really? Yeah, if you want to have a healthy heart, that's the recommendation. It's 30 minutes of an elevated heart rate 5 times a week.
What's an elevated heart rate considered?
Well, for most people, that's just going for a walk.
Yeah.
Honestly, for all of us. Yeah.
Do you know what your resting heart rate is?
Yeah, I measure it periodically. I usually do it like once a month or so. And mine's about 60. I get down to 55 at times.
Yeah, mine's about 50, and I can hit low. I can hit 45.
Mm-hmm. Right now,
I haven't checked it in a while, though. I should probably check that out.
Right now, I'm about 55, but it gets up to 60 when I'm like not eating so good.
For your size, it's not horrible.
Well, I mean, but it's because I'm actually paying attention right now and working on it. If I were back in the day when I was just eating and doing whatever, I mean, I was strong and in shape, kind of, but my resting heart rate would have been like 65, maybe even 70 at times when I was really being lazy or something. So, I mean, Well,
and even things like, constant caffeine use can really, affect those numbers a lot. There's a lot of different things you can do to get it down. Oh, yeah.
I know 45 is enough for the doctors to freak out.
Really?
Yeah, they'll kind of start getting real weird if you're down there. But a lot of athletes, they kind of sit right about there.
Yeah.
And I know some people it's gotten even lower than that. And I think there was a cyclist actually that was hovering around 35.
Wow.
Of course, everyone just thought, this is,
you're
about to drop dead.
You never know. I mean, with the cyclists, they're running some gear, man, for sure. And I mean, that world is absolutely insane.
Have you ever read any, information about how much medical stuff we've learned from cyclists juicing?
Oh my gosh, dude! I mean, you think bodybuilders have been like test dummies? Man, cyclists have been test dummies.
The centrifuge, the cyclists invented that.
Shocking. Doesn't surprise me at all, man.
And there's so many things. I read a book about it. I can't remember what it was, and it was like just a ton of medical stuff coming out of cycling.
Well, and it's sad because like we really don't even get all the results. Like you hear Lance on Rogan talking, and he's so vague about things, and he's an absolute dictionary of statistics.
Yeah.
And he's very vague on what's going on. He's like, they tested positive for clenbuterol. He's like, what's that? You're like, come on, bro. You know exactly what clenbuterol is.
Yeah. Man, speaking of Joe Rogan, he had on that Dr. Robert Malone today.
Is that the mRNA guy?
Yeah.
I didn't get to listen to that one.
I've listened to about half of it.
Really?
Yeah, and So he had on the Peter McCullough, Dr. Peter McCullough.
I did listen to that, and that was quite a good podcast.
And then a few months ago, he had on that Pierre. I can't remember his last name now, but he's the ivermectin guy.
Yeah,
he's really pushing it.
Okay.
And so I watched that one, and I was like kind of blown away.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah.
But no big deal. Peter McCullough comes on, and everything he says you can only catch COVID once.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. And Joe was like, well, my buddy caught, COVID twice, blah, 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 tested positive. And he was like, well, actually what happened is your buddy caught COVID, then he got the flu.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe, I mean.
That one's hard to, completely believe.
Yeah.
But maybe.
I mean, if so, that proves how amazingly resilient the human body is with the antibodies and stuff like that. I mean,
it just doesn't make sense to me because, all viruses, I can get the flu twice, I can get the cold twice. It's kind of weird that suddenly there's this virus that you can only get once.
And with the flu, we don't even know. I mean, there's thousands of different strains of the flu, right? Yeah. I mean, and with the flu, it's never we know what strain of the flu that is.
That's true.
We don't have any sort of testing at all for that. But Dr. Peter McCullough, man, his story is fascinating.
Well, the stuff he was saying about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin lined up with that Dr. Robert Malone, too.
Really? What did Dr. Malone say about that?
The exact same thing.
Really?
That hydroxychloroquine in the beginning would, if we got it early treatment, we wouldn't be having a lot of these problems. He said, actually, and he said this is a fact. I can't remember who he stated was the information to get it from, but it's as known, it's as not a questionable thing, that they estimate 500,000 people have died because the government intentionally slowed down the treatment process.
Yeah, they made it virtually impossible for you to get hydroxychloroquine.
You can do no early treatment.
Yeah, or ivermectin.
Yep.
And it's, I personally think that's criminal, man.
Oh, for sure. Well, who knows what's going to happen here, but here's the really one that really freaked me out. I'm almost mad after listening to Peter McCullough.
I think we all should be.
Because I took the vaccine,
Yeah.
But then listening to it, I had a negative effect from it.
Yeah.
And then listening to that, because I always kind of thought I didn't want to take it anyways, and then I was like, well, I must be the one that's acting like a jerk here, and I'm the one who's, not paying attention. But anyways, so the Dr. Malone said it's at Uttar Pradesh in India.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the name of it? I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Uttar Pradesh. It's a province or something like that in India, and it's about the same population as the U.S., 300 million something people. They have completely flatlined COVID
with ivermectin, right?
Well, they don't know because they what they did is they sent out packets to everyone in the country for an early treatment packet, right? And so COVID's gone there. But the thing is, right when that happened, Biden flew to India and met what's the Indian guy's name?
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know.
Met him, and then they made a deal that they would not disclose what was in the packets.
I mean, it literally is criminal, man.
There's no question about that being criminal.
That goes against every sort of dude. The one thing that Peter McCullough brought up that was really interesting is to mandate a vaccine that is technically not even FDA approved. It still isn't. We're still under the Emergency Authorization Act. And to mandate that completely is a violation of the Nuremberg Code.
Yeah.
You can say, okay, would you like to be a part of this test run vaccine? Yes, of course. If you would like to be a part of that, you can. But I'm not going to, it's completely unethical to lean on people with their jobs. And he also brought up a great point. Okay, so I'm working for a large company. I'm making a good amount of money, such a good amount of money that I don't want to lose my job because I won't get vaccinated. So I do get vaccinated. But can they just let me go tomorrow if they want? Where is the social contract on that? Where is the security? Okay, you're going to take this vaccine to keep your job, but you're going to be able to keep your job for a for sure amount of time. I mean, it just seems absolutely unreal.
Yeah, everything about this is just insane. But the concept of Biden flying to India just to tell this guy to make a deal where we're not going to let anyone know what was in the packet.
Yeah.
Because y'all were too successful.
Because you did too well, yeah.
In the midst of a global pandemic, when like early
treatment is everything.
Yeah, and so we've lost 500,000 people in the U.S. because of no early treatment. And then our president went down there and legitimately blocked early treatment on purpose.
Yeah.
That is like, I don't even know how to comprehend what's happening right now.
I mean, I think it just proves who they're working for. I mean, that's
the Pfizer.
Yeah,
what is
man.
that? That's like a contract army. What is this?
It definitely seems like an army of sort. They make the kind of money where they have military type budgets.
We have corporate armies. They're in charge now.
Yeah, that's
like Biden ain't running nothing. He literally went over there for Pfizer.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I recently just had my aunt and uncle had got COVID, and they had to contact a doctor in Florida. They're in Nebraska. They couldn't get it in Nebraska. They had to contact a doctor in Florida. He was like, yes, I'll give it to you. I got to ship it to you. It's going to cost this much. Of course, it costs a ton because you got to get it shipped from Florida. Didn't get it to them till they were on like day 14 of, going through COVID. And my uncle ended up having to get hospitalized for it. They started the ivermectin as soon as they got it, but getting it early is critical. And he ended up having to be in the hospital for over a week. He has since been discharged and he's okay now, but he went through a battle with it.
Well, that's what I noticed when Mackenzie got COVID. So she caught it, and it took 5 days to get. So they took the quick test, and it came back negative.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they said, well, so we're getting a lot of false negatives with this or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you got to take the nasal swab, I guess. And then they send that off. It takes It took 5 days for them to figure out that the fast one wasn't working, right? So I had to come back in and do this. And now you got to send it off, right?
Yeah.
And so it was another like 5 or 7 days for that. It ends up being almost exactly the 14-day mark before they tell her you're positive.
Wow.
And luckily, not too. She had some symptoms, but she lost taste and smell and things like that, but not too crazy. But
she's in pretty good shape.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like when I started watching what was going on with her, I was like, well, obviously all these people are going to be, because if you got just, weak immunity, whatever it is, old, you're clearly about to be in big trouble because ain't nobody and they're not allowed to give you anything.
Yeah. Their hands are literally tied.
Because I started calling doctors, because that's what I do. Like I start talking to people. I start calling doctors like, hey, is there anything she can do? And they said, no, not till the test gets back.
Wow.
So now it doesn't matter how sick you are, what's going on. You got to wait for the test to come back.
Wow. It was really fascinating when Dr. Peter McCullough was talking about the, what was it? The microbial, I can't remember the exact word he was using. Some antibodies that they've been given to people that show like great results on curbing how bad the COVID is.
I'm tired of talking about COVID.
Okay. Anyways.
I'm sick of hearing it, period. Like it's been 2 years of this mess.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I mean, I think, and when you look at the death rate and how many deaths, and then you start comparing death rates from other things or even children missing in the USA, it's like, okay, we're willing to call a pandemic over this many deaths. Like there's a lot more pandemics going on then.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot more issues at hand.
But this one's making me mad. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's just making me angry.
It should be.
But one thing, my buddy sent me this video today. It was it was a video they did in the 70s of some doctors doing some experimental science, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was a lot of stuff going on in the video. But one of the things towards the end was they took a dog's head and they hooked all the arteries back up and started pumping blood through it. And they brought a dead dog back to life.
Wow.
And it was reacting and moving and making, they would put citric acid on its nose and it would, smell it and start making faces and stuff like that. It was really
legit
creepy.
Head transplant.
Yeah. And so this was literally that, how in the 70s, the video quality was almost brown.
Yeah. Grainy.
Yeah. It was real well, but yeah. So it was old. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking today, the science that we have.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's unbelievable, dude.
They keep showing us aliens.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's aliens. I don't think they're about to disclose some tech.
I think that's highly, highly possible, man. We'll see though.
So I know we've talked about this before, but it didn't make onto the podcast. Is they are we've been talking about this like fake meat stuff. They're growing meat in the lab now. Like, and then we had some robots recently that they figured out how to reproduce. And of course they're telling us about it, which has to mean like, it's old.
Oh,
So they are making biological suits out of this meat that's grown that is going to connect to like, I don't know what, but I'm assuming like Elon Musk Neuralink.
Yeah.
And you can drive a meat suit around probably for war or whatever. But I'm assuming that's what all this alien talk is. These things are going to show up and then they're going to say like, it's aliens, but it's not. It's just people in the meat suit.
It's just someone in a predator suit.
Yeah. A predator suit. That would be sick.
That would be sick, dude.
Here's the thing. I'm fine with them having this, but I want one.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is you don't get one.
Well, I might because
if you can take one down,
you
got to outsmart them like Arnold did.
Yeah, I got to steal them. you follow one around until they get out, and then I'm jumping right in.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know, man. I think honestly, man, when I see stuff on the news, I literally just try to look the opposite way. I'm like, what is it that they're telling me I need to be looking in the opposite direction of that?
Well, I always thought that they were kind of lying to us, but I also thought they were just mitigating things, like they were just kind of staying in between the lines and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But since this has happened in 2020, I have realized that every single thing that we hear is a lie.
Bro, I love to make the comparison with politics and the news and government in general with the WWF.
Oh, yeah.
It is, I mean, dude, you know, like when
Trump was in the WWF.
Exactly. Trump was in the WWF, dude. And whenever Trump laid that line down when he was debating Hillary and he was like, you'd be in jail if I was president, you know, the whole world just, oh, yeah. Hillary, when you get these 26-inch pythons wrapped around your neck, brother. Like, it was, dude, it was theatrics, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it was pure WWF, man. And like, we are just as ridiculous as these people that believe that the World Wrestling Federation is real, you know?
Well, you know, like I got on social media kind of late after everyone else did, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I got sucked into it hard because I was trying to run the business. I'm marketing myself and all this stuff. And I got in there.
Yeah.
And then the crazy part is 2016, it got like stressful being online, you know, because they're running for like with Hillary and Trump, and then Trump actually
became super political.
Oh yeah, and then Trump gets in office, and it's even more stressful.
Oh, it went crazy.
Yeah, and then I think it peaked right after the COVID thing. For me, anyways, it peaked right after the COVID thing, where like it was just so much conspiracy stuff and so much arguments about the vaccine and the COVID and all this and that I eventually just quit.
Yeah, it became too stressful to even pay attention to it.
Which is the healthiest thing I've ever done.
I totally agree with that. And I mean, I think it's so true, man. Your body really, when you're in fight or flight mode and you have anxiety, like there's no room to grow as a person, to think about things logically through or to try to, you know, plan out. You're in a state of fear.
Yep.
And your body is pumping those fear chemicals, and it's literally disgusting how good they are at keeping you in that state.
Yeah, and I'm not very like clearly into the woo-woo stuff.
Yeah.
But there's something what I think that woo-woo stuff is just a weird way that people talk, like language.
The word magic.
Well, yeah, they have made up their own language and word, like
lawyers speak.
Yeah, lawyers have their way, doctors have their way.
They're all lawyers,
and yoga people have their way of talking, right? And so for me, it doesn't always compute because I don't talk that way. I talk like an army veteran.
Oh, so
I cuss and that's it. Like I'm speaking cuss words.
Yeah.
So basically, I kind of started seeing like the language of it was kind of what I was trying to pick up with the woo-woo stuff, right? And so I think there's sort of like the energy thing they keep talking about. Mm-hmm. There's something to that. I don't know how to articulate it. I don't know what it means. But when I was like running the gym there, and of course I'm online and everything's stressing me out.
Yeah.
I never could figure out my problems. Like I couldn't, because I think what happens is like you're always in survival mode.
Yeah.
And so even the things that you're trying to accomplish and do, you're attacking that with survival energy, which is, I guess, I don't know if it's fear, but it's just like everything's like, I'm just trying to be alive. I'm just trying to make it.
Yeah, it's an angst for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so it was like, I wasn't figuring the problems out that now when I look at them or look back on things, it's so simple. Things are just like easily fixed.
Hindsight is definitely 2020.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think because of also the state of like mind that I'm in, because like right now we're dealing with a lot of problems and I'm fixing them within days, like seconds. Like, here we go. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
So we're trying to put stuff together because I'm coming at things with like a different kind of mentality, you know, because I don't really get online much. I might watch a TikTok or two because I have a few select friends that I share TikToks with.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that line.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
don't really scroll on face. I don't care what nobody's doing anyways.
Yeah, man. I mean, deleting Facebook was one of the best decisions that I've ever made. I mean, and I did it right around 2016, 2017. I just had enough, man. I mean, you get on there and it's just drama over... I mean, dude, the divisiveness is just so unbelievable. They've totally succeeded at dividing people over the most trivial issues.
For sure. Yeah, that was for sure. But I kind of hope we're kind of coming out of that.
I do think that there's a lot of people waking up to how in your face corrupt it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that change is going to look like. I hope it doesn't swing too crazy far the other way, but you know, we're going to see what's going to happen. And I do think that there's going to be a lot of people stepping up, primarily from the military, you know, the special forces and, you know, people that have been, you know, running a lot of ops, and they're going to start running for Congress. We got a lot of young people running for office, and I think we can make a change.
Well, I hope to see a lot of that stuff. Man, I mean, a pandemic anyways is just like a crazy time. And I think it's this weird thing that happens when everyone that has the mentality, like people that are in power, if there's a disaster, they go into, let's profit off this now.
Yes.
It's not really like I don't know if it's an overall like evil conspiracy across the board. It's just a whole bunch of people who are jumping on a opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, conspiracy is a strong word, but man, you know, follow the money.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the thing is like the money's coming from every direction.
There's a lot.
And so there are like these old people that are in like the Senate right now who are like, I guess, trying to make enough money for their grandkids to, you know, be rich. And they're just doubling down whatever they can get because they know they're about out.
Yeah.
They're at the end of the road. And I think this was like the last opportunity. And a lot of them, because what's Nancy Pelosi, like 88 or something?
They're old, man.
Old.
They're
and so
definitely old.
This huge once in a lifetime event happens.
Yeah.
And they start pumping up $1 trillion deals.
Yeah.
Because they're going to take everything they can.
It kind of makes the treasonous acts, it makes me understand how they might think it's worth the roll of the dice, you know?
They're on their way out.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, well, maybe, you know, we can make $1 trillion for this company and get a small sliver of that, you know, 500 million or whatever. And
well, like us as a people, like all of us are seeing the, like the way the system works where the people are allowed, there's not enough checks and balances to keep people from like jumping on these opportunities.
Hey man, 100% there's not enough checks and balances. I mean, dude, we've had legal cannabis in Oklahoma and I can't tell you where any of that money's gone.
Yeah.
All that tax money, the coffers are full, man. I mean, and you got slush funds, money is just being thrown around everywhere in unbelievable amounts. I mean, I was listening to Andy Frisella and he was talking about if he were president, different things that he would do. And he was like, man, I could change the country in 2 weeks, dog. Like these people are, it's unbelievable. This stuff that the way they try to spin things, like we can't change anything. Like, no, dude, like we could make massive change. We could abolish the IRS. We could have a base tax rate of 15% for everyone, whether you make $1,000 or whether you make $1 billion. and everyone has to pay it, and we could get along just fine. The military budget does not have to be $700 billion or whatever it is. It's there's a lot of changes that could be made really quick.
Well, if they could figure out how not to line everyone's pocket, just that.
Yeah.
Which mostly just means term limits. If we could
limits and no lobbying.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Caleb had a pretty good point about that lobbying thing, but like, if we just started with the term limits, I feel like a lot of it may just self-correct.
Yeah, it's possible. It's worth a try.
Yeah.
How is it not?
It's a good first step.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. But, 2021 is in the books, dude.
It's almost there.
Yeah, it's in the books, man. It was for me personally, it was, I went through a lot, and obviously hindsight's 2020, man. There's a lot of things that I can implement to, make things better in my life that I have really seen. And, with this podcast and just this media in general, there's a lot of things that in the future we can talk about, and just documenting the things that we implement into our own lives that I'm really excited about. For sure.
I think like just all the stuff we just talked about, it's all kind of like, it's not, I guess it's negative or whatever, but I do think, especially hearing some of the people, the information that is coming out now that's positive.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this like 2020, 2021 energy is starting to go away.
Yeah.
So 2022, I have high hopes that it's going to be and from what I'm seeing in our own, my own life and what we have going on, it is going to be a building back thing for sure.
Yeah.
We got a lot of things in the works, and like I kind of hope that the whole country follows suit, like we all do this together. Like,
man, I really hope we see some real American ingenuity.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, man, I want to see us solving our own problems, not relying on foreign nations to get things done for us. We can produce so much. It's unbelievable. And even, people are really scared of the automation and, the self-driving trucks and things like that. And I really think, just because we can do something doesn't mean we need to do it. People need jobs.
We need to learn that.
Yeah,
for sure.
We definitely
there's a balance to it, though. We can use this technology so that we could do more.
Yes.
And so if it does automate jobs and then it allows us to go do jobs that are that progress us further,
yes,
then that's a great thing.
I agree.
And I'm kind of into history a lot.
Yeah.
And we have, for the entirety of our civilization, all economies have been built on slave labor.
Yes.
And of course, everyone's upset with America right now because we're like the last, I don't know why we are the target of all, like slavery is just a part of our thing, even though it's everywhere.
It's still to this day.
I mean, we're the ones that, broke it down, but the thing, and it's still happening in some countries, actually.
It really is, and it's unbelievable.
But if we can get enough automation where like that doesn't exist anywhere in the world, I think that's a huge step.
Yeah.
And we get enough automation where no economy ever has to go back to any kind of crazy slave thing.
Right.
Because, I've done it in the past. It makes you kind of nervous, like what they're going to do, especially if they're already doing it in certain places today. But that's the part of technology that's like, maybe it's good. Because we don't seem to be relying upon slave labor, although I kind of have some feelings about, our sweatshops and things like that. But
Nike heavily relying on that sweatshop slave labor. I consider that slave labor.
I kind of do too, actually. It's just they've reworded it or something like that. But that's where the automation, I think, if they can do that, because think about the people that are working that hard in those environments, if they could do anything else.
Yeah.
That's a lot of just time that the human race is working towards, I don't know, going to Mars, like helping Elon Musk.
Right. Yeah. Helping Jeff Bezos wear his cowboy hat.
I'm not
halfway.
helping him do anything. Bezos is on the
but you
list.
are.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either, but we're all helping him in one way or another. We all order from Amazon from time to time.
Maybe Elon will steal his cookies or something.
We can only hope. I'm not too sure about Elon either, though. He wants to hook everyone's brain up to, the Neuralink.
I don't know what he's talking about with that, but I can't comprehend it, so I can't even think about it really, because it makes no sense to me.
We're already in a reality. Let's stay here. Let's try to build this.
I don't think people are really going to get on board with that one.
Boy,
some, but not
some people will.
Not the majority. Most people are like, "Do not stick a needle in me. Don't cut me." Like that's.
Do you think that's something that will just take a couple generations and then it will be broken? Like then everyone will be like, "Oh man, just plug me, hook me in. Let's do it."
Once we've shown that it's not as scary as we think it is, but our generation ain't doing it.
That's very true.
But if like the early adopters get on board, they're fine 100 years from now, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
But then you've kind of shown that it's not. We've got it perfected. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
He was on the Lex Friedman podcast recently, and he's talking about how he's going to Mars. That was an interesting one to listen to.
Really?
Yeah, because he kind of explained things really in depth, like how we're going to get there. And he said 5 years at best, 10 years at worst, and we've got a person on Mars.
Man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
5 years at best?
If everything goes right, 5 years, he'll have a person on Mars. And he said if it at worst, 10 years.
What person is going to be like, yeah, send me to Mars?
I'm sure that's easy.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of people.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, I don't know about me, but I think there's some people that are signing up right now.
I mean, to me, I'm like, we already got, dude, Mars is barren, bro. We already got it good here. Let's just clean it up. It's not impossible to do. We're close, but we haven't completely wrecked the world,
Elon sees it as so there's always catastrophes. And
no matter
like
what.
an asteroid or in 500 million years, the sun's going to expand. And so he thinks that as a race that we need to be interplanetary so that like 500 million, we need this much time just to get it perfected before the sun expands to cook the earth, basically.
Well, and if you think about it, most civilizations have even the Egyptian, if you take the Egyptians at their own word, they're dating things back 70,000, 90,000 years. And the kind of change that they had gone through is really, it's huge. And we don't even have, America's like a couple 100 years old.
Oh, a blip on the radar.
Just a tiny, tiny blip on the radar.
But he thinks that we need to basically learn how to terraform planets. And so
how to create them or how to turn them into an atmospheric planet with...
Yep. He said, I mean, we'll take the animals there. We'll take the plants there. We'll take everything there.
Oh, wow.
And build it. Which I think is interesting because, like the Everglades in Florida?
Yeah.
That stuff is man-made.
Okay.
So
who made it?
The natives.
The natives did?
A long time ago. Yeah, so they did it, and there was reasons for it. So they did it to kind of help, I guess, so that where they lived there, there's these winds and hurricanes that come through, and it helps to break that stuff up so that they could, be in Florida easier. And then the same thing with like the Amazon forest is that was grown by the Mayans and Aztecs and whoever was there.
Yeah.
That soil they're finding today is man-made soil.
Yes, it is. And it's like some of the most nutrient-dense soil that they've ever found in existence. You can take a tiny handful of it and put it in a pot full of not awesome soil, and it'll completely convert the entire pot to full of life.
That's a wild concept.
It is wild, and it's old.
Yeah, and they've been doing stuff like this all over the world forever.
Yeah, the Amazon is extremely interesting, especially when you get into the soil, and then you get into, I think it's called LiDAR, where they're like, they can image through the trees.
I know those cities.
And they're seeing all these massive cities. I mean, there was a lot going on in the Amazon within the last 20,000 years.
That's the part where, like, I think it's kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
I mean, that's super cool. Yeah.
That's incredibly cool. But then we're burning down the Amazon so we can have what kind of, they're growing soybeans or something like that.
Well, there is something weird happening right now, which is kind of interesting. But it's like we're almost getting worse.
Almost. So, I think we're borderline idiocracy, to be honest.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure. But I think it was 1961 or 71. We reached top speed for airplanes.
Okay, yeah.
And it hasn't gone up at all. Actually, it's gotten worse. I can't remember all the numbers, but we're it was like 241 miles an hour or something. It was like for a commercial airliner. It was like top speed. I do not know the numbers at all.
Yeah.
We have digressed. I saw I looked it up too because I saw like an article about it. I read it and I started Googling it and looking it all up. And our air travel has gotten worse. We have declined since like I think it's the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, I actually, you were talking about Lex Friedman. He had John Danaher on, and they had probably a 20-minute discussion on the advancements in aeronautics. Like, to listen to those two minds talk about any subject, it's like listening to two supercomputers talk.
Yeah. The only advancements we've made is like sensors. Like your airbag lights. Like that's the
we have the reverse camera now.
We put more wires into this thing. It's not making it better, but it is making it more annoying. And
that's the truth, man. Like such infantile advancements.
It's actually just like hiding the fact that we're getting worse at stuff, which, you know, maybe that's a normal rate of way things go because we've been advancing really fast. Maybe it has to slow down for a minute. It's kind of like the balance.
Yeah, we have been advancing at it. It kind of seems, you know, the last 100+ years, it seems like a mad dash of advancement.
I think when you look back, you kind of see that off and on, though. It's like there's these mad just booms of like civilization blowing up and they started some new thing. Maybe it was the invention of the bow and arrow, or maybe it's agriculture or whatever. You can kind of see these things where this came in and all this stuff happened, like Egypt.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like 1,000 years of nothing.
Gone.
Well, in Europe, there was 1,000 years of alcoholism. Absolutely nothing happened.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That was when the water was bad and they could only drink, you know, everyone got a gallon of beer a day.
Dude, you even read about the Mayflower and like they mostly brought beer and wine with them. They brought a very small amount of water because none of the water was clean. It'd kill you, man.
They used to say in wine there's wisdom, in beer there's strength, in water there's bacteria.
Dude, I mean, some of the earliest Sumerian tablets we have are beer recipes.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they were making beer back then.
So they have documented 1,000. That's the Dark Ages, right? 1,000 years of nothing.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where we're at now. Maybe we've come to a point of like, you got to slow down for a while and then things will come back
I think it would be really good for everyone to just slow down for a second.
Makes sense. I mean, I think most things are self-regulating. You know, when I was a kid, though, we had all these, like, I don't know whether you want to call it propaganda or whatever, but we were supposed to be we were supposed to be in flying cars and these, like, houses in the sky.
Back to the Future style.
Yeah. And it's just sort of, it's clearly not made it there.
Yeah, not even close.
Maybe that's good because who knows what would happen if it kept going. Clearly they don't have enough, they're not responsible enough for the tech we do have.
That's 100%
This
true.
COVID comes from gain of function. Like they made this thing.
Yeah. It's clearly obvious that it's gain of function research that they've been developing in a lab somewhere. That was not a bat that someone ate.
Flew into a pangolin.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's almost as laughable, just like the old Dave Chappelle bit of saying that AIDS came from people having sex with monkeys. Yeah. Like that is the most outlandish shit I've ever heard. Like, dude, I mean, come on, you know?
Mean, if they would just make it funny,
dude,
I guess they gotta send Dave Chappelle to do it.
A monkey would kill you. I mean, come on, man.
Peel you like a banana.
Yes, dude. Like with no effort at all. It just you'd be done.
There was I think Joe Rogan talked about it, but I saw the video and they had a female chimpanzee in a chair and they tied it to a chair and gave it a lever to pull. And when it pulled the lever, it got a treat. And so they started out fairly lightweight or whatever. It pulled this lever, it got a treat. And they did this every day until they finally got it to where it couldn't pull it anymore. But that monkey pulled a female chimpanzee, pulled 1,300 pounds with one arm.
Which the males are way stronger, aren't they?
Way stronger. And that was a chimpanzee, not a billy chimp.
Yeah.
Not an orangutan.
A chimpanzee.
A tiny female chimpanzee.
Wow.
1,300 pounds.
Holy smokes.
And
man.
I think orangutans are like the strongest primate.
Yeah.
So that thing has
stronger than gorillas?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
It's different, but like they're built different, you know. So they have long lever arms. Their arms are so long, so that lever arm's there. Because gorillas are just like a bulldozer.
Oh man, terrifying bulldozer.
Yeah, for sure. But they have. They're supposed to be the strongest primate, and who knows what? I think they're a lot bigger than a gorilla, actually, weight wise.
Okay.
But they that has to be like a 5,000 pound.
Yeah, bull.
Like
lever pull.
An orangutan could rip you in half.
Literally from your arms, just rip you in half.
Yeah,
that's impressive, man. It's unbelievable, dude. We are such a in the real chain of things, we are such an infantile species, man. We are like the most vulnerable, and we should really be at the bottom of the chain. It
kind of shows you how important critical thinking is.
It's the most important.
Most of us don't actually have a lot of that either. We're barely a step above an orangutan.
We are barely a step in critical thought above the orangutan.
But there's a few of us.
There are.
Like Elon Musk, like some of these guys that can really do it, and it is, it is incredible what these guys get done. But I will say, let's go back to gym stuff.
Okay.
Most people in the gym have zero critical thinking.
Boy, that's the truth. That's the truth. I've been guilty of it myself, man. I mean, you get into ego lifting, and I had this guy come into the bar the other night, and he was like, man, Zach, worked out, dogs, doing legs, wanted to go hard. Put 315 on there. This dude's like maybe $180. He's like, put 315 on there. He said, dog, my life flashed before my eyes. I said, what are you doing? Just trying 315, bro? Like, maybe start with 225. Like, and he was like, I don't know, man. I just wanted to get it, And I was like, dude, you're out of your mind,
There's
bro.
these hilarious TikToks where these guys will, like, their girlfriend will break up with them or something. And they'll put like 315 or 405 on the bar. And they'll pick up the bar, and then they put their thumbs around the suicide grip.
Locked in, bro. We're all going to go down with this ship.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, they the thought process, I don't know how much thought process is going into what people are doing in all reality.
I think it's none, man.
Well, I just remember people coming to the gym, like, just wanting to lose weight, and they're, like, huge, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, clearly, like, I don't know, I just want to help people. If you ask me a question, I feel like I have to answer you in some kind of fashion.
Right.
And so I've got to, if someone says, I want to know how to lose weight, like, I've got to do something. Well, the thing was, the conundrum I would come to with people is they want to work out in a group of people who are also doing, like, really hard stuff, right?
Yes.
But my reality is that, like, I just want you to go for a walk.
Yes.
And then I would have these conversations where I'm putting you through a workout, but this is literally now just entertainment.
Yeah.
And then I'm having the conversation every day with these people saying, listen, clearly watch your food, just eat less. Okay.
Yeah.
And then go for a walk. I want you to walk every day. And I would say out of all the I've probably had hundreds of that conversation.
Hundreds of,
and I've
easily.
And I've only had, no one does it.
Dude, I walk every day. I do. I honestly do. And it's crazy the benefits that you get. I mean, and dude, whether it's cold or whether it's hot,
So the pattern of that keeps amplifying no matter what level you're at.
Right.
Right. And so, like, let's say you are an athlete, and then the concept is, like, well, CrossFit's like a prime example of this. We always just go in and just kill it, right? Mm-hmm. Just murder every workout. And that's the general culture of, like, how we talk about gym stuff is like, murdered this workout.
Yeah.
Work, hustle, kill. Work, hustle, kill.
Yeah, I went hard in the paint, bro.
But you literally just have to go, like, what is the next step from walk?
Yeah.
And then go, what am I doing? And what's the step up from that?
Yeah.
And, like, if you could figure out what that is, which for me right now is like, I'm just going to carry a weight. I'm going to walk I'm taking my weights for a walk.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been walking and it ain't enough, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take my weights for a walk. That's the conclusion that I've come to.
That's a good one.
And I'll also like, we've been kind of getting into the 75 hard stuff, and I like the concept of being outside.
Yes.
Not being trapped inside a building. And, I feel so much better when I'm out in the sun.
Dude, I feel great when I'm out in the sun, man. I mean, the quality of workout that we get at the park is amazing. And we're not doing anything crazy. No. We're not kill, murder, death. Like, we're not on that level. But dude, I'm sore, and I know I got a good workout. That's for sure.
Well, it's hard for me to do that anymore. I've done plenty of the kill, work, hustle, kill thing, but now what I've figured out is how to walk again. Mm-hmm. And it's so basic. I really can't make that hardcore.
Where did you learn that? What?
Just by watching everybody.
Really? Yeah. There's not a specific guy that had.
There's a few, but I don't think anyone's specific. I mean, so the Goda guys. I think David Weck's really good. The knees over toes guy.
Okay.
Flexible. There's range of strength. There's a lot of people out there doing this stuff. The crazy part is that I learned most of this from Wes a long time ago.
Yeah, he was already on it.
The trick is, though, that I'm just learning how to articulate it by listening to other people articulate it, because I'm not very bright.
I'm not a smart man.
No, I don't know how to talk, at least. You know what I mean? I'm really good at absorbing information.
Yeah. And
I've been lucky enough to have like a lot of mentors, and particularly in this scenario, Wes. And so most people don't have any original thoughts in their entire life.
Yeah.
Wes had several,
yeah,
like a bunch. Like he was constantly having original thoughts. And so he was so smart. He read a book on Russian espionage and figured out how to help the kids that he worked with that were boxers who stuttered. He learned how to help them control their stuttering.
Just from a book on espionage.
Well, which, if you and I read this book on espionage, we're like, bro, espionage is so cool, right? That's the end of our thought process.
Right.
So Wes sees this story about the way that they would do a lie detector test before we had the machine, right? And then what the Russians did is they would take a spy into a room and they would make him write down his statement, and then they would record him. Well, first they have you record your statement. So they ask you, what's going on? And you say your statement and they record it. And then they have you write it down, right? And then they take a video camera out and they have you read your speech. And then they play it on a recorder in the background.
Wow.
The one that you said first. And so there's so much going on that your brain is listening to the recording. It's reading from this and it's trying to talk. And your brain starts moving so fast that whenever they would get to the lie, people would stutter.
Wow.
So what Wes took from that was these kids that are stuttering are actually, their brains are moving too fast.
And it needs to slow down.
And so he needs to slow them down. So he would go to these kids and say, listen, just like tap on your leg, figure out some kind of fidget.
He's giving them a cue.
Yeah, figure out a fidget that you can do while you're talking, like tapping your leg, or they would do different things. And then it would slow them down just enough where they could get the words out.
Wow, I think that really points to being a critical thinker.
That's exactly.
That's the true skill, is critical thought and being able to look at something and apply it to wherever it is that you're at.
And that's why I think I'm so big on just like I don't know I don't figure everything out, but I've just been fortunate enough to have the people tell me, and that's what I do is I actually find people who know the answers, and I have no qualms about asking.
Yeah, and
so I'll ask you, what's the answer? Like I'll just blatantly just get information out of people, and I know how to pull it out of people, and then I also see that there are people now online. We have social media, and a lot of these people are incredible at articulating it.
Yes,
they're good at talking about it. Well, I am not. And so I will learn from them. I'm going to figure out how to articulate it, because that only helps. That's how I help other people.
I think that is one of the beauties of technology that we have, that we're seeing right now, is so many people able to articulate things, and it really is moving the consciousness of humanity forward, I feel like.
Well, if you pay attention.
Yeah. And that's one thing, is like, so many people are caught up in different stuff. They don't even have time to focus or pay attention on anything.
Well, people are caught up in, there's a distraction out there that's available for you, like to parrot what other people think.
Yeah.
And so you can either listen to the people who you deem smart, like who I think has something to say, I can listen to them and take what I think is good and throw away the rest, right? The Bruce Lee thing. And that's my big thing.
Yeah.
Because I like to listen to all this stuff. I want to see all the tricks. Like if you've got a woodworking trick or a metalworking trick, I want to see them all. And a lot of them are garbage.
That's true.
You know, or they just don't work for me, right?
That's true.
And so I got to pull the ones that work. And it's the same with the training though. But what most people do in the gym is they just do what maybe, Arnold said or somebody said, and they don't think for themselves. So, but what I do see is they'll maybe like take something and say, oh, like Louis Simmons right now is the one I see big time. He comes up with a way to do bands and chains, right?
Yeah.
And everyone says, well, I'm smarter than him. So Louis says only do 25% band or chain tension. Right. And everyone says, nah,
we got to slap
60%.
a little more on there. Yeah, bro, come on. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up. And
there are certain things when you can think critically, you can realize that he came to that 25% conclusion out of experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Louis tried at some point to put 60, 70, 80% band tension or chain or whatever. And then he realized like that is a problem.
He got throttled, I'm sure.
And what actually happens if you do the bands all the time like that, your joints start hurting.
Really?
Yeah, it'll tear up your joints. Wow. You'll have a lot of joint pain and stuff. And so Louis figured this out. So there's certain things you can hear when you go like, yo, he didn't just make up 25% band tension. Like he trial and errored this. So
he did the real research and development on that.
Yeah, and so maybe that's the only thing that you need to take from his stuff. Yeah. Like he kind of introduced band and chain tension to the world, right?
But it's very applicable to everyone, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
across the board.
Yeah, it's if you just take that simple number, okay, 25% band tension.
That was the one thing that he did for you.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that he trial and errored, and you can take and move forward. Like you can build on that, but instead people are like, nah, I know better. No. And so they didn't see the one truth that he did put out for everybody. All they took was like that hardcore, like we're, West Side, we're tough. That's all they took from it.
Yeah, and the psycho part of it, which
that was entertainment, man.
They were WWF in it, yeah.
And instead of the thing that he actually did, they took the garbage. And that's the difference between like, and I guess that's evolution, bro. That's the ones who are going to make
this. Is that evolution or is that de-evolution?
Well, some of us aren't doing that.
Okay, yeah.
So the strong buffaloes make it. The rest of them get eaten. And right now, I mean, we're going to, because if you think about the sheer stress you're putting on yourself on all these situations with social media, this is moving way faster than our brains can really actually do.
Oh my gosh, man.
And so if you're eating it up, right, you're just gobbling up the garbage.
10 hours of screen time a day.
And all that angst we were talking about, all that stress, and you do this and you don't ever let it go, because you can go your entire life and just keep that anxiety. You can keep it.
For sure you can.
And I have luckily figured out I'm stepping away from it. I just chose to do that, And so, but you could easily fall into the mass hypnosis or whatever it is and just stay there forever. And so that's a huge stressor.
Yes.
And then we have these work stressors. We have our culture is weird and it's stressful.
Yes.
In general. So we've already got that. And some of that you have to survive. So you can already count on a lot of stress being there anyways. And then you're going to go be like a gym guy and you're going to go to the gym and you're going to do this crazy,
destruction workout.
Yeah, destruction stuff on yourself, and you're going to add more stressors. And then you just imagine all the habits people keep picking up over time.
Yeah.
And then we've got guys constantly dying at 45 years old.
Yeah.
Heart problems or whatever.
Attacks, yeah.
And I could see myself getting there if I were to fall into that hole. You know what I mean?
No doubt, man.
Because then what we do in order to balance that out and to just survive like today is to deal with that stress. Is like you're eating, you're drinking, you're doing some kind of destructive behavior because you're going to have to balance it. Because your body and your brain figures out things that it can do to survive.
Yes.
And who knows what that's going to end up being. But if you really took an overall look at your life, which I think people should do and don't.
Yeah.
And on a regular basis, you can look at like, man, I am messing up. And we all are going to find stuff every single time. But
oh my goodness.
But I'm messing up here. I'm messing up there. And if we could just walk instead of like extreme, thing, that's one of the qualms I have about 75 Hard is it gets a little bit extreme, but I think he's doing that because people want to be entertained.
Really?
Yeah. But
you don't think it's just the discipline? That's the kind of, it takes something that extreme to really fortify the discipline?
I don't think it does, man. I actually almost think it's better if you will pick a thing.
One thing.
Yeah, well, because if you look at how jacked up people are, now sometimes it works out fantastically for you to jump into something hard like that and change your whole life, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people just won't do that.
Yeah.
And so most people just...
A lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, they don't have the mental energy. They're working, so there's so much stuff going on, kids, and trying to follow a diet and work out twice a day. And some people can't.
Yeah.
But they can pick a thing right now that they're dealing with, because you can kind of look at all your problems and go, which one's going to give me the most return on my investment? And like maybe it just means like finding some like a bedtime routine to go to sleep earlier.
What do you think would give you the biggest return on your investment right now? We were talking about sleeping earlier. Do you think that's
for me right now?
Yeah, for you personally.
Tightening my diet up.
Ooh, I gotta agree with you.
But some people that it doesn't. This doesn't work across the board. Like some people, that's not the thing.
Yeah, for sure. Some people's diet is just naturally a little better. Yeah, it's fine. I
used to train this lady named Heather, and she ate Oreos every night. and she was ripped.
She was ripped, dude. She had traps and biceps. She looked great.
Diet's not the issue.
Yeah.
And so then, but she, I'm sure, can find things in her life that are an issue, and she can deal with that. And I think that's what we need. That's the critical thinking part.
Yeah.
It's like, look at yourself, take an overall look, and quit letting the wind blow you whatever direction, and let's say, like, which thing can I pick today? And maybe it's just going for a walk. And that's the one I'm always kind of talking about, like pushing.
Yeah.
Because most of us, and I look around at like the general people that I know, like people from back home where I grew up in those small towns, and they're just fat. Like everybody's just sick, and their skin's diabetic and fat and just miserable. That's the big one. You're miserable.
Yeah.
And, and I've had, people that are young that were so stressed out and life was so hard for them, they took their own life and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A friend of mine, he was big, and he was young, though.
Really? Do you think that being big was a part of that equation?
Well, it's part of the stress.
Yeah. Okay.
So his life was hard.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
He was stressed, and so he balanced that out by eating and drinking.
Emotionally eating and drinking, yeah.
Things were hard, right? But if a person could slow down enough to go like, what can I do? And maybe it's literally just starting. That's why I don't know if like jumping into like 75 hard makes sense for everybody.
Yeah.
But if you go like, if every, 90 days you just say, what can I do?
Yeah.
And then you start with that one thing. I think that's the most, you would get more done like that than anything else. And maybe even more than 75 hard, because if you start it where like every 90 days I take a full evaluation and I pick a thing, imagine like 10 years of that.
Yeah, man, that's real strong right there. And I mean, just like, I think that's a great thing for the people that do fail something like 75 hard. Even if you do make it for 7 days, that'll still make you like, you'll reflect on that and you'll be like, man, what can I do to be better? If
you were to wake up and do like a morning routine, right?
Yeah.
Get this, like I wake up every day at 6 a.m.
That's your routine every day at 6 a.m.?
That's the goal. Yep. And then.
How long you been hitting that?
No, not very long.
Not very, okay.
No, because we just got moved here and now things are coming together. But before that, it was kind of chaos. But that's the goal, right? So every day, 6 a.m. forever.
I like that.
That's the goal. So then you pick a morning routine and you like, I brush my teeth. I do my hair. I try to shave my head every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. And not
military
lately,
right there, buddy.
Yeah, but I've been lately not doing it.
Okay.
I've been because I'm getting up and going straight outside to work.
Yeah.
Right. I've been working on the house and doing construction and stuff.
Living that farm life.
Yeah, letting the the grooming go. But like, if you wake up every day, shave your head, do your thing, even if you are going outside to work, I think that's like a great habit.
Yeah.
And then because I can start in the morning, that's the first thing. I know this is really crazy, but I put my right foot on the ground first every day.
Really?
Every day. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's an interesting one.
Because then the idea is like at some point, and I don't know how long you master this, but can you habit every day or every hour of the day, like everything you do?
Dude, I think some of the most successful people have that on the lock.
I think they do. I mean, I'm watching and looking at them, and so like just emulating a little bit of that is go. Because then the chaos is always going to come. But if you're so locked into your habits, like that chaos ain't going to be stress. That's just like, it's exciting.
The habit stacking.
Yeah, I mean that's the good stuff that's happened. The chaos. If you have so much order going on, when this chaos happens, it's just fun.
Didn't you post a post about that just the other night? On Instagram?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but I totally agree, man. The habits is key. And I keep using this excuse like, oh, well, I'm bartending Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I'm up till 2 a.m., so getting up at 6 isn't a thing. And I'm just starting to come to the conclusion that that's kind of bullshit. I've been bullshitting. I've been just lying to myself. And, even if I get up at 6 or 7, you can still go back down for a nap later. You just get up and get your body moving and get the circadian rhythm flowing.
When Wes was alive, I was bouncing like 4 or 5 nights a week.
So you're up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah. And I was also doing MMA.
Yeah.
And one day we were sitting, it was after a class, MMA class, and we were sitting behind his truck, and he was just telling me what to do. He was always just kind of basically telling me what habit I need to start doing. And that time he said I needed to wake up when the sun comes up, and I was like, Wes, I go to bed at like 4.
Yeah, you're crazy.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I can't, how am I supposed to run off of, 2 hours of sleep? And he was like, go back to bed, idiot.
But get moving.
Yeah, he said
get that sun in your face.
The sun, that was it. He said because you're trying to get your circadian rhythm, whatever. He said go outside, he goes walk outside, look at the sun, stretch, go back to bed. Yeah. I don't care what you do after that. Yeah. Go back to bed later. Right now, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but get that sun in your face.
And that's the start. That's the step one. But yeah. You can definitely go back to bed later.
Man, I want to, I definitely think in 2022 we need to get people on the walks, man. Get them walking.
Well, I want to teach them how to walk.
That's true.
That's what I'm really doing now.
That's true.
That's why I was saying I can't, if my main thing is teaching you how to walk, it's really tough for me to make that extreme walking.
Yeah. Man, but it's hard. I've been watching you, train people like last week, and it looked a little goofy, because people just don't know how to walk, man. We all walk like duck feet,
Everybody. I mean, well, when I start showing you how it looks, though, and you start looking at yourself, you're like, man, I look goofy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because then if I'm emulating, Michael Jordan, you can start to see it like, oh man, he looks a lot better when he's, moving than I do. And then, you'll start seeing other people. Like I'll see the guys, the fitness influencers all the time, and they're like telling you something to do that's going to make your knees impeccable or whatever, and then I'm looking at their feet and I'm like, nah, it ain't gonna be you, buddy.
I don't know.
Them knees are going soon.
Yeah.
And I don't know. When we're getting out there and learning to walk, it's kind of like part of that stress reduction too, because if your joints are feeling better, your back's decompressing, your pain's going away, there's another stressor you don't have to worry about.
Dude, one thing that's interesting that I always tell people about my walks is my walking is like my own chiropractic treatment.
Yeah.
When I walk, if my back is out of line from sleeping or jiu-jitsu or whatever, usually about 30 minutes into a walk, I can just barely move my back and I'll get a huge adjustment.
And that shoulder pain you have might be coming from your spine.
That's highly possible.
Because, if you can't quite pinpoint what's going on and stuff, and you've been trying all these different things, and I mean, it's hard to really tell because this is everything, especially pain in general, is coming out of nerve stuff.
Yeah.
And, if you're sleeping, and I always think you're probably sleeping wrong, but like if you're sleeping on your side and that shoulder starts to pull, you're pulling all that stuff, it gets inflamed. And you can go to the physical therapist and they can do the thing and tell you what's going on.
Right.
But it's going to be this weird diagnosis, and it may that's the problem with it. It may not help. But also, I've noticed, like even with myself, as you start to move better, walk right, etc., some of that stuff just goes away.
I think you're totally right, and I think also correlating with the posture.
Well, that's the main part of it. Yeah,
big thing. It's a big thing, and even just driving, my driving posture is horrible.
You can, yeah, I know. I literally try to practice getting in that position while I'm driving too.
Right,
heels out, and then leaning just slightly forward.
Yeah, because if you think, and that's it's not a driving position you see people in a lot.
Well, you probably couldn't tell by looking what I'm doing. I'm always trying to make it not look too weird but I can feel my back. If my back feels my spine's elongated, it's just like all that pressure goes away. It's just like, like it's so like my muscles just relieve. When I weld, I get really tense.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of trying to focus and I'm trying to like I don't know, like put this metal in here, you know, and I'll tense up. And I've noticed if I'll get in position and relax, like my shoulders will drop. I got to get my chest over my hips, you know, and then get my feet right, and my shoulders will drop, and I can relax. And now I can focus and move smooth and more consistent with my welds. But then when I get down there, though, I'm just like, my initial thing is just like flex, because I'm going to control this weld. I'm in control. Yeah. And then every time I have to go like, oh, relax, and then I'll start welding smooth again.
You have to woo-saw.
Every single time I light it off.
And you don't like any of that woo-woo shit. That's not.
I know. I don't like
but you got to woo-saw every now and then.
Well, I'll figure out how to talk about like it's kung fu or something. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's very applicable. Man, we're at 1:30, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it just flew by.
It did. Let's chop it off. It's New Year's.
It's New Year's, guys. I hope you guys have a safe one. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.